They proclaim Pride Month in the NBA. They proclaim it. They show it to the world. They say, come join us for Pride Month, to celebrate unrighteousness.
I'm not really a sports guy. The only sport I really watch and follow and pay attention to closely is football. That's pretty much it for me. I love the NFL. All right. But other than that, I'm not really a huge sports guy. I like the Astros. I enjoy going to Astros games, but I'm not really a big baseball guy. And I really don't even follow basketball at all. So I was very shocked when I started seeing stuff about the Chicago Bulls, which, as the name might suggest, is Chicago's NBA team. They have terminated a player who I know very little to nothing about. But here is the message that they put out when they cut this player, when they waived him from the team. The Chicago Bulls announced today that the team has waived guard Jaden Ivey due to conduct detrimental to the team. Now, I'm not naive. I know enough about professional sports to know that you have to do something pretty serious as an athlete to get cut. I mean, some teams have held on to players through some pretty heinous allegations, and even beyond allegations, stuff that, works its way through the court system, and a player is found guilty of, domestic abuse or some sort of drug thing or even firearms stuff in the past, and they still stay on the team. And I'm not faulting a team for that. If you've got a good player that does his job well and can win but has problems, off the field or off the court, whatever. The court will impose whatever judgment they think is due. So, all of that's rolling through my head as I read this for the first time. And again, I really don't follow sports, or basketball, that is. So I don't know why I would even see this on my feed. Turns out it's because of why they fired this guy. What was the conduct that was so detrimental to the team that they had to let this guy go? Did he do some heinous crime? Did he kill someone or rob someone or attack someone or what have you? No, all he did was question Pride Month as an institution. Now, I've said this openly in the past. I think Pride Month is stupid. I think the entire concept is ridiculous. We don't need to give you an entire month, just a month-long shout-out, because of who you decide to have sex with. I think homosexuality is a sin amongst many other sins. I'm not hating on, gay people, but what you're doing is wrong, all right? And this is not to say I'm perfectly righteous. I do things that are wrong all the time, and I am no better than you. We are all sinners. But you are living in sin openly, and I don't think we should have an entire month dedicated to celebrating your sin, just how I don't have entire months dedicated to celebrating my various sins. And nobody should want that. But if you say that now, if you say, hey, I'm a Christian, I think this is ridiculous and silly. Why are we doing this? Why are we promoting this? You'll get cut from your NBA team. Now, what he said was on video. He said it to, I think, an Instagram live stream or something like that. So we actually have the video, and I'm going to play it for you. And again, it's nothing out of the box. It's nothing crazy and wild and provocative. He didn't use any slurs. It's not like he's attacking people. He's just saying, why are we doing Pride Month? Take a listen to this.
The world can proclaim LGBTQ. Right? They proclaim Pride Month in the NBA. They proclaim it. They show it to the world. They say, come join us for Pride Month, to celebrate unrighteousness. They proclaim it. They proclaim it on the billboards. They proclaim it in the streets. Unrighteousness. So how is it that one can't speak righteousness? How is it one that how are they to say that this man is crazy?
And again, he's making a very good point, because nowadays, if you just come out and say that, I think dedicating an entire month, having parades, shutting down streets, all this, that, and the other, all of that just for some sexual perversion you're indulging in. I think that's weird that we do that as a society. Immediately you're slandered as a homophobe. You're blasted up and down as being some terrible person. You've got all these issues and biases, and you're a bigot and la-di-da-di-da. And all he's sitting there saying is like, this is unrighteous. I'm a Christian. This is what the Bible says about these particular activities. And I'm not allowed to say that openly, but we're allowed to go, twerk naked in front of children in public roadways because it's a pride parade. And you might think I'm exaggerating, but hey, look up Pride Parade on Twitter or anywhere else, and you'll find exactly what I just described. All of this is completely reasonable for him to say, but he was cut from the team for it. Now, I think in reality, the reason he was cut for the team, from what I understand, he was injured. He hadn't played in a while. The few times recently, his last 4 games, he didn't perform particularly well. So chances are they were probably looking for an excuse to cut this guy anyway, which, again, you're a sports team. You're free to do that. You're free to cut a guy who doesn't perform well. Don't go looking for an excuse for it. Just nut up and cut the guy. If he's not doing a good job, just fire him. That's fine. But it's the fact that they had to try to come up with some excuse. His conduct was detrimental to the team. How? He hasn't even been playing for the team. He made that point himself. He came out on another live stream and he said, how am I being hurtful to the team? I'm not playing with the team. I'm not even hanging out with the team. I'm in rehab. Take a listen.
Right? They said your conduct is detrimental to the team. I haven't been with the team. Right? I haven't been with the team because I've been rehabbing. So how is my conduct detrimental to the team? Where have I done detriment? Did the players did I say man, you suck? Did I say you suck to the players? That would be detrimental to the team, right? Because I don't trust in I'm saying the player sucks, and I'm on the same team as him, right? And he's my teammate. We're supposed to be teammates. We're supposed to be on the same team, right? We're supposed to be playing together, right? We're supposed to be passing the ball to each other, right? We're supposed to be doing handoffs and ball screens, right? We're supposed to be doing these things together.
So essentially what he's saying there is, I'm not there. It's not like I'm going and trash talking my teammates. It's not like I'm causing problems. I'm not being an issue in the locker room. All he did was say, hey, why are we doing this? Why are we as a society doing this? And, to his credit, this is a question that I've been trying to figure out the answer to my entire adult life. Why do we do this? What is it about gay people that makes them require an entire month that's just dedicated to them and their vanity? Why? It's legal. You're allowed to do whatever you want. Gay marriage, quote unquote marriage, is legal in every corner of this country. There is nobody in this country that's being imprisoned for being gay. There is no rights that a heterosexual person has that a gay person does not. So what about you and the fact that you like whatever necessitates you have an entire month dedicated to you? And now I'm faced with this all the time because I live in Montrose, which is the gay part of Houston. And everything about Montrose is gay, 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 gay. And I have to ask, why? Who cares? Be gay. You'll pay for that when you pay for it. Unless you surrender it to Christ and then he'll pay for it. He already has. But why do I have to sit constantly and be reminded of how gay you are? Why does that have to be your entire personality? And God forbid we ask that question, because then you're homophobic. It makes no sense. And I'm tired of the entire society pretending it does. I wanted just to really make the case to you that this was completely ridiculous. Here's a great example of the type of things that the NBA does excuse. Now, standing up for your faith and saying, hey guys, I don't think it's right that we're dedicating an entire month to gay sex, saying that is not allowed. But if you're Kevin Porter Jr., you're still allowed to play for the Bucks. Lucky Tetter, I don't know who this account is, but in 2020, Kevin Porter Jr., as pointed out by at the Mega Hulk on X, pointed out that he was arrested after he crashed his car and police found a loaded handgun and suspected marijuana in his car. In 2023, he was arrested in New York City on felony charges of second-degree assault and strangulation after an alleged domestic violence attack on his girlfriend, who is WNBA player Kyrie Ray. I'm not even going to try. A WNBA player. Reports described her sustaining a fractured neck vertebrae, a cut above her eye that required stitches, and her fleeing into a hotel hallway covered in blood to escape his attacks. The NBA has no issue with Kevin Porter's behavior, but Jaden Ivey is released for holding biblical beliefs. Now, here's what I don't want you to do. I don't want you to go on and say, oh, this is a violation of his freedom of speech, la-di-da-di-da, because at the end of the day, I truly believe that an organization should be able to cut someone for whatever reason. If I say something that somebody doesn't like who employs me, they should be allowed to fire me. I stand by that. All right. Now, if Jaden Ivey or whoever says something that his employer, the Chicago Bulls, doesn't like, that same thing should apply. They should be allowed to fire him. Now, that doesn't insulate the Chicago Bulls from the response to that. If you want to say, this is obviously blatant anti-Christian discrimination, so I'm not going to support the Bulls or I'm not going to support the WNBA, I support that as well, by all means. If Jaden Ivey wants to go file a discrimination lawsuit or a wrongful termination lawsuit, I support him doing that. Everybody should be allowed to do pretty much what they want and then should be faced with the consequences of that. And that applies to NBA players who say things and get fired for it and the teams that fire them. I think that's fair. That's what I think. Now, at the end of the day, this was obviously anti-Christian discrimination. Sean Davis did a good job of pointing this out. The conduct they are claiming is detrimental is Christianity. This is in response to that original tweet that I read you just a few minutes ago from the Chicago Bulls announcing they fired him. They fired Jaden Ivey for being Christian. Worth noting that the Bulls didn't fire Ronnie Brewer after he was arrested for DUI, or Jakeem Noah after he was arrested for possession of drugs. When Jamison Curry was arrested for public urination and then resisted arrest, the Bulls suspended him for 1 game, but also refused to fire him for his conduct. Christianity is apparently where the Chicago Bulls draw the line. And now, again, if the Chicago Bulls want to fire someone for Christianity, go for it, and then face the lawsuit and the public repercussions. But don't lie to us. Don't sit here and say it was conduct detrimental to the team when we know that's not why you fired him. We can all clearly see that you fired him because you were scared of the gay mafia boycotting you and saying mean things about you on whatever platforms that they prefer to do that these days. That's why you fired him. Just be honest about it. Now, if you're a Christian, I also don't want you to be disparaged about this because, again, we know this is the type of thing that will happen to us. The Bible says that very clearly. If you signed up for Christianity because you thought this is just the thing to do and I'll have an easy life, if you got sold on the prosperity gospel thing, where if you just follow Jesus and give the pastor your money, then you'll live a happy, easy life and you'll get rich and no one will ever bother you. You got duped, buddy, because that's not the message of Christianity. That's not the message in the Bible. If you're surprised by this as a Christian, you need to pay more attention. Des Bryant, of all people, pointed this out. Now, I love Des Bryant because I'm a Cowboys fan, and I grew up watching him catch footballs from miles away, and I think that was cool. I didn't know that he had such biblically solid takes on the faith, but here's what he tweeted out. I have to assume, just by the timing, it was in response to this, but he may have just been throwing out his own musings. But here's what he said. The Bible openly acknowledges the tension of seeing wicked people prosper while the righteous suffer. In passages like Psalm 73 and Jeremiah 12, people question God honestly and feel discouraged by this apparent injustice. The turning point is realizing that this success is temporary, while faithfulness has lasting eternal value. Jesus reinforces this in Matthew 5 by redefining quote-unquote blessing beyond immediate visible outcomes. What you see now isn't the full picture. Justice and meaning unfold over a longer timeline. And that longer timeline that Des Bryant, of all people, is referring to is eternity. You will be persecuted in this life for following the faith. Even a Western country like the United States, you will be persecuted for being a man of God, for being someone that recognizes that Jesus Christ is Lord, and as Lord, he is entitled to give us commands, and we are entitled to follow them. You will be persecuted for that. Now, will that be some of the things we see in other parts of the world where you're gunned down by radical jihadist Muslims? Maybe not, probably not, thank the Lord. But you will be persecuted in other ways. There will be times when your faith is tested. There will be times where successes you might have as an NBA star are taken from you. But you will be rewarded and compensated for that, not necessarily in this life, but in eternity. Another athlete, Trayvon Henderson, he's a running back, also plays NFL for the Patriots, I believe, directly responded to all of this, saying again the same thing. Matthew 5:10, blessed are those who are persecuted for righteousness' sake, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. And that's what I want you to understand. There is no defeat that has been suffered here. If you're a Christian and maybe you are an older folk, I know a lot of my listeners right now, this is AM radio, I make no bones about that. You're probably older, and that's fine. You probably grew up in a society where everybody went to church. And if you didn't go to church, you were considered the on one out. And that's great for you, and I'm glad you experienced that. But don't look at what's happening now as my generation is now persecuted for holding to the faith. And again, that's not in like the sense of what we see in other parts of the world, but this was an act of anti-Christian persecution. That's what this was, objectively. Now, this doesn't mean we say, oh my God, woe is me. We were told this was going to happen by Jesus in the scriptures. We were prepared for this, or at least we should have been. Take heart in this. Be encouraged by this. This is a sign that we are on the right path. Jesus Christ is Lord. No ridiculous NBA team can change that. There is no concern here that, oh, Christianity might be defeated by the NBA. Give me a break. But anyway, all that to say, praise God for people like this that are still speaking out about this. Prominent people in the sports world that are still speaking out and saying, no, what Jaden Ivey said is correct and righteous. We need more of that in this world. I think that's great. But anyway, that's my thoughts. We'll have a lot more Sunday at 7 p.m. on AM 950 KPRC. Thank you for listening to the Next Gen Report.